guest speaker today. Thank you for joining us. And as we have this...
He's powerful.
Your energy.
Thank you. Monk Sang calls himself I Monk. He has 2 bachelors in Oriental Studies and a master's in theology. He's from Sri Lanka, and he will share with us some insights that, even though they may look distant from our speaking business, they are closer than we think. So as we have this 10-minute format interview with him about what he calls monking, I invite you, each of you, as professional speakers, academy members, and aspiring speakers, to think about your own fears, those shiny new objects that sometimes are on the way, the importance of finding our own passion, that authenticity, or those things that are distracting us from our goals. Because I'm sure that he has to share, applies, and resonates with us. So welcome, Monk Sang. Very happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for the opportunity.
And I would love for you to share with us, how did you decide to become a monk? Because that happened when you were 11, but even before, when you were 9 years old, you already knew what you wanted to do?
Yeah, actually I was 5 years old when I had the desire to go and become a monk, because as children in Sri Lanka, we go to temples, and the monks inspired me, and I loved the smell of the robes, smell of the temples. There was something that triggered me. At that age, I didn't know what it was. But then of course, my father didn't like it. And then I was 9 or 10 years old, my dad died, and he was an alcoholic, and I think it had to do with something with depression, and he committed suicide. And then at the age of 11, my neighbor's son, memorizing these stanzas, the Pali verses from the books. And so I asked him, why are you memorizing these things? And he said, I am going to become a monk. That triggered me again, that, that past memory. And so at the age of 11, I actually went to the monastery. And it wasn't easy, but yeah, I started that early age.
And you have to even persuade your mom. But a lot of sacrifices. How was a day in that monastery?
Very regimented. It's not easy. Whether you are 7, 5, or 11, 16, 40, you have to get up 4:30 in the morning. And you start your day 4:30 in the morning, and then you start your morning tea, and then till you go to bed 9:30, you have a schedule that you follow. And so, so it was a very regimented, to put it in a very short way.
With a lot of sacrifices. And he did in 4 months what it usually takes 2 years. Did you ever regret about being there?
No, I don't. I'm happy being who I am. There were moments, there had been moments, but I'm talking about at the moment. Do I regret? No.
No, at that moment.
I have had moments that I had second thoughts.
Why? Tell us about that.
Well, I was a teenager. Of course, I see beautiful girls. I see other worldly things, and I felt like sometimes I am stuck at a monastery, that I have not a lot to do, and I would just get up early in the morning every day, and I would meditate, I would do services to the community, and I would preach and that's pretty much became my life, and I fall into this pattern rather than enjoying it. And this is something that I'm very interested about, that when we fall into patterns, it really leads us to stress. And I see that in coming to Western culture, people deal with a lot depression, stress, because rather than enjoying what we do at the moment, we just fall into this pattern. It can happen with your job, it can happen with your everything. And that happened to me. And so it gave me second thoughts. Do I really want to do this? Yes, there were moments that I regret, but at the moment I don't.
But when you were not happy about it, you changed your environment. You moved to another place and you changed those patterns, and then you started to feel good.
Yeah, I think environment actually played a big role. Because the monastery that I was in, it was bigger, it was crowded, and then I went to a small monastery, and my teacher was very friendly, and the community was were much educated, and they were very supportive, and I had more time to reflect on myself rather than doing stuff, busy with with other things, extra activities. So I think it changed me a lot. I think environment is a big factor when it comes to our happiness.
That time to reflect probably applies to all of us, that we are always so busy. And 7 years ago, he came to the United States, and it was a shocking experience. Why? Why? I wonder why.
As a monk, when you are in a cultural situation like in Sri Lanka, monks are they are well respected. It doesn't mean that you don't respect me, in a sense that culturally how they accept a monk. They have their way, and it's 2,000 something years of a history, and so they know how to accept a monk. When I came to the United States, so when I was in Sri Lanka, when I go to the post office, the bank, when I ride on the bus, I go first, and I get the seat. And so when I don't have to stay in lines. And so when I came to the state, when I was in Michigan, I had to get my social security number, and I had to have proof of my address, so I had to open a bank account. And here I am going to the bank, and I walked into the bank, and there were people lined up, and I had to actually stand in the line. That moment was so uncomfortable, and I would never forget that moment. That I started to sweat, and I thought, what's happening? Because when I'm in Sri Lanka, I was, close to the front, and they will give me a seat, and they will take care of everything. And so it's,
So it was here in Western culture that you realized your ego was bigger than you thought.
I just realized at that moment, my ego, even though I preached about it, even though I know, right? I preached about it every day. We have to let go ego. We have to, But here I am realizing my ego is way bigger than I thought.
That's a very important lesson. And some other lessons that you would like to share, one more here that you learned, because you were stressing and you were losing that peace and falling in the American dream, but in the wrong way. What other lessons, if you can share one more with us, you learned here in these 7 years?
Yeah, when I was I was 9 months in Michigan, and then I moved to Chicago, and that's where I did all my monkeying. Sorry, I like to play with words, so there's no such a thing as monkey. But I'm a monk, that's what I do, right?
What is monkey? We have to get that out of the way. What is monkey?
We had to put that in the dictionary. It's like hormone. So I was, Chicago, and I don't consider monking as my job. I do it for fun. It's my lifestyle. And I'm a monk, that's who I am. And I don't like to make money off of it. That's not how I live. I work to earn my living, whatever cost, what you call it, pay my bills. And so I was in Chicago. I was a caregiver. I work with developmentally disabled individuals, and I was doing my monking stuff at the temple, and I was going to school full time. And so basically I was living the American dream. I just got caught up with all your dreams, whatever the dreams that the society has offered me, offer us. And then I realized I got really stressed out. And I was sleeping 2 hours a day. And this is not what I wanted. And this is not why I became a monk. And so I make changes. And, I went on a retreat, 3 months, completely silent, except 3 words slipped out. And then when I came back, I realized I really don't want to run a temple. That's not who I am. Because I was running this temple, and it's not me. I don't have that business part of me, I'm not good with it. And I still like to be a monk. I still like to do monking. But I realized that I want to be on the road. I like to drive. And I want to speak to people. And I want to share what I know. But I want to be somebody who travels. So I created this little website called Monk on the Go. And I created a website, Facebook page. And I started to shoot email to people, like yoga studios. And so I made these changes. And making these changes, actually, I realized that when I came in this morning, I talked to somebody, actually. She said, we all make choice. And I think we all make choices in our lives. And that's what I realized, doesn't matter what other people ask me to do, I have pressure because culturally I am born to that Sri Lankan culture, and I have to behave in certain ways. I have to do things in certain ways. I have to dress in certain ways. But if I fully define myself, if I fully understand what I want, and we can make that choice, and I think that lead us to whatever that you're looking for. And so I think I made that choice, and I'm much more happy. And I used to be very stressful. It was a very stressful situation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. And I'm sure as he shared his answers, we could relate somehow in our profession and our personal lives, because we are always changing, trying new things. Sometimes we are frustrated, busy, but we all want to find that purpose and basically be happy and impacting lives and audiences. So monkonthego.com, let's give him another round of applause. Thank you.